But Yehuda, Joseph's antagonist, so to speak, Joseph's biggest competition, Judah, Yehuda, when he had his worst, most challenging moment, his low point of his life, when his daughter-in-law was about to be taken off to be killed because she had slept with someone, and it turns out that that someone was him, and he had to admit it in front of the others. It's not that she's the criminal, I am the one who did wrong. He has to admit, Tzadka mimeni, she is more righteous than I am. Or he can just take the poor woman out and have her sent off to the execution. He's powerful, he's the head of the family, he can do it. But no, on his own. He said, Tzadka mimeni. He has that gumption, that natural talent to be able to stand up and say, I'm going to do the right thing. I am going to announce that I have done wrong, she is correct. The one who's being executed is more righteous than I am. Stop the execution, and I admit my guilt. This is Yehuda, this is Judah. This is very different from Joseph, who needed that image of his father to coax him along. Joseph had to be an apprentice of his father, like Yehoshua had to be an apprentice of Moshe in order to be who he was. Both achieved greatness, but one needed to apprentice, and one had that natural talent of a Judah, an amazing personality that all could see. That's Judah. That's the tribe that would become the leadership tribe. Judah has other relatives in that branch of the family, that Leah branch. Reuven. He was supposed to have been the great leader of the Jewish people. After all, Reuven is a descendant of Leah. He's the firstborn of Jacob and Leah. And what happened when Reuven had his most challenging moment, where somehow he was tempted to have some sort of relation with Bilhah, the concubine of his father. He wanted to show that he was also an important, he was going to be with the concubine of his father. He was the next generation in this family. What did he do when he was tempted to have this terrible moment of failing? The Gemara in Shabbos has many interpretations of what Jacob meant when he said to him, Pachaz kamayim, you're so frivolous, you're so fickle, like water. Pachaz kamayim. Al totar, you're not going to be any greater than your brothers. But the rabbis say, you know what it means, Pachaz kamayim? The Gemara in Shabbos says, you know what Pachaz kamayim means? The Gemara in Daf Nun Hey, Amud Beis, he says, one of the rabbis says, Pilalta, Rabbi Gamliel says, you prayed. Chalta, you were Vayechal, Moshe, you prayed. Zarchat filatcha, your prayer shined forth. You know what you did, Reuven? When you came to trouble, you had trouble, you prayed. You did it yourself. You had it within you to pray and solve your problem. You didn't need anyone else. You prayed, you with God, together, you solve your problem. It wasn't your father's image, it was your own sense of worth, your own connection with God. That saved you. That's the layaway. That's the Judah, Reuven layaway of dealing with trials and travails. So too we find with Yoshua that over and over again, the Torah says again and again, Chazak ve'ematz, be strong, be brave. God says to Yoshua, to Joshua, over and again, look at that first chapter of Joshua. Over and again, God says, be strong, be brave, be strong, be brave, be strong, be brave, over and again. Because Yoshua is from the family of Ephraim, the family of Yosef, and they need help. They need apprenticeship. They need strength. They need God to strengthen them every step of the way. Yoshua needed a tremendous boost and bolst and a jolt to be able to begin his leadership. And the first chapter of Joshua and the inauguration of Joshua was a tremendous process to give him what he needed with God's help and with the help of Moshe to give him the smicha. He would achieve something. He would reach a whole new level. If we go on to later history, there would be two leaders. The leaders from the tribes of Judah and leaders from the family of Rachel, Benjamin. There would be King Saul, the very first king of Israel, and there'd be David. But there's an interesting difference. A difference between when Saul is inaugurated and when David is inaugurated. When Samuel inaugurates both of them, we find different expressions. Samuel or Shmuel inaugurates Shaul and he tells him, look, when you go through this inauguration process, you will turn into a different person. Or it says, Vayafech lo Elokim leivacher. God turned him a different heart. In order for Saul to become Saul, God had to give him a different heart. Like Joshua before him, he needed to have a different name. He needed to be changed by others. He needed to be molded and shaped by the prophet Shmuel. Shmuel was his father. Shmuel was his guide. Every single second, Shmuel was sitting on top of him. Shmuel said, don't eat the sacrifice till I get there. Don't do anything until I get there. You depend totally on me. Then at the end, Saul says to Samuel, are you mad at me? Are you not going to go and bow down with me? We must appear together in front of the people. You've got to come with me. He can't do it on his own. Saul is dependent on others. Saul has the type of leadership. He must be mentored by others, as Joshua was before, as Joseph was before. This is their family. This is the Rachel family. He's from Benjamin. Benjamin's from Rachel. He needs to turn into someone else, to have someone else turn him into someone else. So much so that when people saw that Saul had changed his personality and became a prophet, they said, Hagam Shaul ban V'im? Are you serious? You mean that Saul, the donkey herdsman, he's also a prophet? Are you kidding? It's unbelievable. It's a transformation, as it was with Joshua. When it comes to David, yes, he's also given a spirit, but we know that Hashem imo, God is with him. God is with him to begin with. We have a sense that he's been killing the lions and the bears way before he ever met Samuel. David's power doesn't come from the prophets. Oh yes. Now and then David needed to be admonished by the prophets. David needed the guidance of the prophets. But David is not someone who lives every moment with the prophet at his side. David is independent. He has a relationship with God like the family of Leah. He davened by himself. Who exemplifies prayer more than David? All alone in the world. Avivi imi azavuni. My father and my mother have left me. And they did. He was all on his own. Hashem yasvini. But God will take me in. He understood how to have that private relationship with God and to stand on his own as an individual. That's the power of Malchus. That's the power of kingship. It's lonely at the top. David can handle it. He has God with him. He has through prayer. No one else. He can be the king. As we turn to the next generation of Davidic leaders, Solomon was so much by himself, there was no prophet with him. No prophet at all. Because he had it all. He was his own communicator with God. He had dreams from God. There's no other prophet with him. Solomon is the ultimate individual, has a pure relationship with God. He prays to him, and he sets up this system of prayer through the temple for all generations. He establishes the temple, which is a Beit Tfilah, a house of prayer. But in the north, the northern tribes of Israel, dominated by the family of Rachel, of Ephraim and Manasseh, particularly Ephraim, there up in the north, they have King Ahab. And King Ahab may not like the prophet Eliyahu HaNavi, but he needs that prophet. Without that prophet, he can't have any rain. Eliyahu HaNavi takes the whole power away from the king. He says, you're not going to have any rain, ki im lefi dvari. Unless I say so, there'll be no rain. And then Eliyahu is appointed to appoint the next prophet. Eliyahu HaNavi is one of the overwhelming figures in the life of Achav.